Hey guys, Wheatywaffle here today, and we are back in City Skylines in our Rebuild or Redevelop series. And today we're starting with a voiced over time lapse. If this is not your thing, you can jump forward to 8 minutes and 5 seconds. It's in the chapters down below. But I wanted to go back into Alphabet City and just kind of rejudge a little bit of it. I tried to make that theme, it wasn't working. So instead, I go in and hand place pretty much every building in about half of this area. We don't do all of it now. I'm still working some of it, and I would really like to get the themes to work in a way where I can just do some more, regular zoning, but haven't gotten them back to where I like just yet. We're going to keep working on it. In this area, I know that I don't want a ton of skyscrapers. We have our main downtown just across the river, and I actually want to start thinking about maybe redeveloping some areas around the downtown so that they even have more skyscrapers in them, because we really want that to be a nice big city. But this area here, this is kind of the capital. So we've got our downtown area, and that is its own city, technically, all a part of Waffle County. And then we have this capital, Alphabet City, right across the river. But in a sense, over time, I think in my mind, they have melded together and become just one really large city. So we've got a bunch of buildings here that are all offices, all industry, and some commercial. But this is kind of like the seat of all of Waffle County, if you will. We don't do a ton of residential. We do some later on in the live play of this episode, but I think that we're going to create some kind of neighborhood in the riverfront district, if you remember from the last part, right here on the screen right now, immediately to the left, where there's no roads. I think that area is going to become the residential hub of this particular city, and then we're going to start fanning suburbs out from here. Really, I want to get our population to 65,000, because at that point we'll unlock the airport, and then we can just kind of start figuring out where that goes, which is going to be a huge build. It's probably going to be a multi-episode situation, yada yada. So I'm looking forward to getting to that, but we keep getting close to 65,000 and then somehow we begin to fall away from it. So we're almost there, but to get more people in here, we desperately need to meet some of this this commercial and office demand. So overall in this area, we're keeping the buildings pretty low. I don't want to compete too heavily with the actual downtown area we have on the other side of the river. And I was really liking in kind of incorporating these European style buildings. I don't have any European districts in my city right now, so having these European buildings kind of just sprinkled throughout, I think looks really nice and gives me a chance to use those assets that I haven't really been using in this series too much. This park, love it, really tiny, super cute, except for half the park for some reason acts polluted and the trees are all dead and I don't know how to fix it. I'm going to load the game up after I finish this voiceover and we're going to see if it's gotten any better, but I don't know what's going on with that. What else am I doing here? I would like to, like I said, keep this area pretty low to the ground in terms of building height. So I used a bunch of these modern city center buildings throughout. This particular block is not my favorite. I think this block could be much better. This block behind it that we're working on now with these black buildings, this is much better. This is more the vibe. So I might have to go back in and do some reworking of some of these areas. But you'll notice that once we finish these two blocks, we kind of move into placing tons of unique buildings, which I think is what brings this area to life. Now, this is me making up for the fact I don't have the promenade expansion right now, which is those like double paths with the trees. And I will say, I don't know if I'm going to get it. I was looking at the Steam Workshop today, and it's only $15. But the positive reviews is only 39% of the reviews. Like overwhelmingly, people seem a little disappointed for a few reasons. It sounds like one, it doesn't add a whole ton to the game. It also sounds like people are tired of the district style of gameplay where you paint a district that can't be the same as another district, like industries, park life, university. All of those use this district painting tool, and apparently the pedestrian areas also use that district painting tool, and you can't have pedestrian areas that are also city parks, which in this particular park here, Park City Park, which is the main park leading up to that City Hall monument with some of the other monuments around it, kind of like the magazine or the mall in DC. I wanted that to be like this huge pedestrian area and was thinking, all right, we'll come back, we'll get the expansion, we'll change this park around. But now, having read some of the reviews, I don't think I'm going to get it. I think I'm going to hold off on that one. I can think of a number of things I'd rather spend $15 on. So that's probably what I'm going to do. Unless you guys like desperately want me to play around with that expansion, but I don't feel particularly inspired by it. So what else is going on here? Right here on the main boulevard, I believe that is Foxtrot Avenue. Foxtrot Avenue has the highest buildings, and that's really the extent of the tall buildings. If you're not off of Foxtrot Avenue, I'm trying to keep those buildings short. And right now I'm putting a key around this train station. I know it's not anything fancy. I did download some additional train station assets. The problem I have is that a lot of the ones that I thought would look really good in this part of the city all use, I think it's like an ESFS mod or something, which seems to be having some compatibility issues. So a lot of the train stations I liked we're not able to use at the moment. That's okay. Instead, I think what we're going to do is maybe build up a building using other assets around our train station so it feels more grand. So that's something we'll mess around with. Not today, maybe in a future episode. I might even just do it off camera. But around here, we're just doing some light detailing. So we've got that theater that I just threw a bunch of trees around. We have this large parking lot that is next to the main park, Park City Park, which I'm open to any name suggestions you might have. And it also works out well because that begins to serve I think it's one of the hotels. I have a really big, I think it might be Hotel Savoy. Can't remember, or maybe it's a different one. This little strip of land here on Riverfront Boulevard is where it dawned on me that I would like the neighborhood right next door, the district right next door to this neighborhood, to be a similar style to the rest of the other downtown so that we kind of marry the two city themes together. Again, this area is really large. I did not realize how big it was when I was zoning it out last time or just laying out the land. And I'm happy with it. I'm happy that it's so big. I'm happy that it feels like perched up on top of the hill. I do want to work on some of the trains and some of the other connectivities. We don't have buses over here yet, but let's go ahead and jump into some live gameplay and see what we get into today. Here's what we're looking like. This is so far where we are with Alphabet City. Let's see what's going on here. Let's clear out of everything. Let's turn anarchy off. Alphabet City, you now have 2,000 available workplaces. I am hoping that this just solves a ton of issues. We will see if it does. I think it looks pretty good. There's still lots to do. I think what we're going to work on right now is kind of this area. I want to go ahead. Let's just right off the bat, off of I Street is this beautiful building. Let's grab all these nodes. Doop, 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 doop. Great. Make them all the exact same height. Bam. So now we have kind of this set up here. Ooh, got a little frame rate problems. What's new? Now we're going to take the sloping tool. We're going to slope from here to here, to here, to here. Bam. Give that a nice little slope. We're going to slope from here to here. And we're going to slope from here to here. Great. So now we have that all sloped, which looks wonderful. Let's go ahead and I want to smooth out kind of this little area. Doesn't need to be so crazy looking. But now we have some kind of, not industrial area, but it is a commercial / office kind of complex, which I think is really great. I think that's something that we've needed. We didn't really build a huge one anywhere else in the city so far. So this is what we've got. right now for Alphabet City. We've got 1,400 workers. It's slowly ticking up, which is great. We're finally seeing some demand for a residential. We are not going to touch it. We are just going to let this area here kind of start to get its life together. Now, we probably need some services. I know we placed a few. We probably need more. In terms of healthcare, we've got a hospital, which is working fine. We have a cemetery, which is working fine. We don't have any residential people living over here at the moment. And while that's still the case, let's think about maybe placing some of these larger buildings. Riverfront Estates is going to have some residential up here. So we could place one of these buildings here, although a lot of that is wasted with the river. So I would say we could think about maybe tucking this here in one of the sides. Do they love it? Do these people care? No, they don't care. This has no effect on these buildings. So I think we're good there. Fire. We've got coverage. It could probably be better. We could also think, because we are in basically a whole new area that we have not been in before, I think placing down one of these disaster relief buildings would be really beneficial. It's going to be noisy. These people luckily do not care about noise, which is really great news for us. The hard part about this building is going to be blending this in. What in the world is this? You've got to be kidding me. Okay, let's take the whole thing to this height. Okay, still like not great. Let's move the disaster relief building. Bit better. But then we have this avenue that just kind of ends, which we haven't thought through that area yet. If anything, I don't mind it being over here, but let's place it maybe this side, like this way, kind of going towards that highway. I think that's not too bad. We're actually going to move it one more time. We're going to center it on this block as much as we can. That works for me. We're going to smooth a lot of this out, which is wonderful because we are on a pretty significant hill there. You guys are still needing some services, which is what we're trying to work on right now. So we've got our disaster relief building. I would say we want some kind of shelter. Here's not bad. Kind of covers everybody. Can hold 10,000 people, so I think it's more than enough. This is currently covered by a radio, but we're going to put another tower in here because there's also a... what's it called in this area? I'll place it right here. There's also a television station. I did place some unique monuments. So we've got a television station over here. We have a media broadcast building, which makes sense for them to be relatively close together. I did place a theater over here, and I placed the city hall as well as a courthouse. And what we're going to work on some today is making this little strip here into a nice looking park. We've got people coming in, 149 passengers. Hopefully that increases. Let's keep going with services. So we don't have intelligence. Government building gathers information and enforces mass surveillance throughout the region. With an ever-growing need for high-profile security measures, your city can now task the Central Police Intelligence Agency with public as well as covert operations. There should be some commas in there, but I guess they didn't want that. Noise pollution 25. I think this goes in here too. It goes right in the middle. Right, we've got some of these like very cool looking buildings over here. It does have really intense changes in height. And because I know I'm not going to be able to hide that very well with just moving the land around, I'm going to actually fill in that particular area with concrete. We're also going to fill in this particular area with concrete. It's not exactly the same as DC in that DC has museums. This has like a bunch of other buildings around, but I think it still looks pretty good. Let's do some of our tried and true chestnuts. I like how dense these are, so we're going to keep that. This is actually going to go all the way down to here and all the way up to here. Kind of gives an area behind the courthouse that we're not going to fill. That can all stay just like that. That looks good. I think for here, we'll also place trees on both sides, even though it's covered in concrete. I think having the trees is worthwhile. I think we'll have some trees here along this parking lot. Okay. And then continuing on, we have a small high school, or excuse me, elementary school. We don't have a high school over here. If we did do a high school, it would be this high school. I don't think there's going to be a huge need for it at the moment because there's no residential areas over here, but I'd rather place some of this stuff now, in a sense, future-proof a lot of this, and then we will not have to worry about it as much moving forward. Riverfront Estates is going to have residential. So I think the high school should go kind of in this area somewhere. Am I attached to those buildings being there? Kind of. I like them. Do I want this on the avenue? I don't think I really mind. I don't care. That's fine with me. So we're going to place a high school there as well. So we have that service. Still is probably leaving some things to be desired over here, but that's okay. We're finally starting to get some leveling out there with our demands, which is good, our Rico demands. Words are hard. I'm recording this right after the last one. I'm going boom, boom, back to back. I'm off today, so I'm trying to make sure I got episodes for y'all. Waste transfer facility. I do want some of these. I think we need some of these. I know, actually, we have some right here. And so far, this is still green. So you know what? We'll leave it. We won't place any waste transfer facilities over here just yet. We have this. Let's also place a library. I think a library could look nice in this area and be a good way to help fill some of this out. Again, with the land just... Ooh. What if... No, we tried that. We tried that along here, but this is all a bit more elevated than the other side. Can we smooth this and it not look horrendous? Oh, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. That's better. That's better. Let's do a little bit of trees over here. We're just going to go just like this. And we're just going to add in maybe a little bit more than that. Okay. Pretty good. Now, with that in place, we've got some great buildings along here. We do have some very, very varying heights throughout this area. So I want to try and rectify that a little bit. I'm okay with this having some weird heights around it. It's just inevitable. It's going to happen. But I like that this area in the middle is at least aligned. So let's work on this park a bit. We are doing this as a city park. We are going to grab the really, really big entrance, which I think is going to go right here. No. It's going to go right here. We're going to have another entrance. I think we'll have entrances next to both sides there, as well as an entrance down here. We'll have an entrance at this road. We'll have an entrance over here. Is there a road there? There is. We're going to have an entrance at that road. And we'll have an entrance kind of over here as well. Back this way, we do have a road here. So we'll have an entrance here and an entrance here as well as one more over here. Why not? All right. This all allows us, you know what, better yet, place these entrances here, remove these ones. Now we have those all connected. And then for this area here, I think that this is going to be pretty, relatively straight. Actually, back that all the way. Get rid of this. And then here is where we're going to turn all of this off and just kind of curve this into that section and then use move it to get rid of that extra little bit. Great. Okay. Now we're going to do a beautiful fence all the way around. Beautiful. Down here in Park City Park, that's a lie. Up here, we're going to have some of these buildings. I think actually what's going to happen is we're going to remove this. I did not put fences along all of this. I think we're going to place a really big chessboard behind City Hall. Gives people something to do when they visit. I also think that while we're up here, I know no one will use it, but what if, let's actually for real this time disconnect. What if we placed kind of like a windy path that came off of this section and just kind of did a little a little loop. So if you wanted to come out here and run around, you could. Then down here, I would like to use the other buildings. I would love to get this to 5-star. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know how realistic that is, but we could make this one of our main parks. And I think that's about all we can do. And we can give an advertisement campaign. So that helps a little bit with our entertainment, allegedly. And we'll be bringing more people to this area, which is great. I do want gazebos, for sure. I think these are a lot of fun. And definitely something we'd want to have throughout this area. Maybe we'll place one here. We'll place another one over here. You could even think about placing some in here. Okay. I don't feel strongly about any of these items, but I do want to have, so this is the info kiosk. Yeah, this is the info booth, which interestingly, it's called info booth number 1, but there's not another info booth. And I wonder if there were supposed to be different styles of info booths. And then, you know, things changed and they just never renamed it. But like, this is just cafe park number 1, restaurant number 1. But like, was there supposed to be like other unlockable tiers? Kind of like they do with the airport, and then they just like kind of scrapped some of that because park stuff was really early on. And we'll place another bathroom in here as well. There won't be one back there. I think all around that's pretty good. Not pressed about much of this stuff. We can ignore it for now. Let's go into trees. Let's grab the tried and true chestnut, and we're just going to do a little bit of tree coverage here in the back. We're going to place a few trees here. This will be a bit more challenging just because this is, it has this parking lot area here, which does make it a little bit more difficult to place trees. We'll place a few trees around here as well. Then we're going to do a few larger boys. Do a little bit more there. And this back corner is going to be pretty full. A little bit of a noise barrier for the avenue there. Okay, so now we have a nice park kind of cutting through everything. I am interested in potentially taking Sterling Street and making Sterling Street a one-way. Don't know if it's necessary, but it's a thought. So that looks pretty good. There are still some areas along here that need to be filled out that I have not finished yet. I feel pretty good about this section. Let's try to fill in this back portion. We do still have demand for industrial. So let's just plop down some more of these European style buildings. They're really working well in this particular section, which is great. I don't often use the European buildings, but I'm very glad to have them now. Now, do we have one that curves the other direction? We might not. And if that's the case, I think we maybe come in with a little bit larger of a building and just kind of fill in that back bit, because there is a little bit of extra height there. This still gives us the opportunity to place down a path. I'm really enjoying this path here. We could turn all this on, turn this on. Let's use actually the OG path. We'll bring this straight on back. We'll cut this straight all the way through actually, and then we'll connect up to here. And then let's place a few trees throughout. Just another pathway over here. More connectivity, and it's off the road, which is kind of nice. So that area is now filled out. So now we've got a really decent section here. I do think I want to have a crematorium or two. And because these people up here were complaining about services, I think we tuck some in and we hide them inside the buildings like before. Like this building, nice and big, we can hide one in there and you won't ever really see it. This building over here, again, nice and big, we can hide one in there. You won't really ever see it. You might see a little smoke here or there, but maybe not. And then I think what we do to fill in the rest of this section, let's try to do some vanilla commercial, not vanilla, excuse me, custom commercial. I I think we might want the small ones, although we didn't place... Oh, level 5. Oh, we got a level 5 ore extraction. We're coming back. We're going to work on this, but we get this shipyard now, which is partially why I wanted to start with the ore, because now we can really start thinking about our port. Let's throw a few of these modern city center buildings over here. I think these are exactly what this area needs. We can probably just get away with a few. We don't need like a whole crazy smattering. I also don't mind leaving a few empty blocks here and there. Come all the way to the end. Maybe not all the way to the end, but there's these corner pieces that I really, really enjoy. I think those look really nice. Again, we're accidentally, I don't know if it's accidental, but we're unintentionally leaving some spaces for paths, and I am not mad about it. Great, we got some paths. Trees, let's use the big boys over here. Great. So now we got that little area filled out. Right along the side with the city hall, which is awesome. We've got these stables or garages back here. I don't know why I placed these over here, but I kind of like how small they are. I am curious, what is the noise pollution just throughout this area? This area here, pretty loud. This building is loud. This building is loud. These buildings here, though, are actually very quiet. So, congratulations. Astor Park is now a level 3. Great. We've got some work to do. But before we do that, I think we go ahead and we place a bunch of residential over here as well. Let's go and look at the custom buildings we have that are high density residential. This building, beautiful. You can go right there. This building is very modern, very sleek, very fun. I think that would fit nicely right along the edge here. This is where all the fancy schmancy people live. None of these buildings are going to be particularly tall, but we will have some height throughout. We also have these buildings a little bit taller. I think if we did place these, they would be placed maybe along this section of road. You know, we could do 2 next to each other, side by side. This guy, great building, very big, but matches the style of this other more modern building. We have these condos as well, which if I place this condo here, and then what does this one look like next to it? Looks great. And you know what? It kind of fits, because this is just like a grody parking lot. And these people probably paid insane amounts of money so that they could live next to the grody parking lot. This building is also quite fun, although it's not going to work here, I don't think. How about these guys? These are a little bit taller. A little bit taller. These could work. I could do one here. We could do this here in the middle. We're going to kind of just work our way down, I think. Those are too similar. That's a bit different. And then do we have, are any of these 3 wide? No, and now we've totally switched style, which is not exactly what we want. See, this is the downside to this, though, is that I just sit here and click on stuff, and I know that that's not enjoyable to watch. We'll place one of those there as well. It's got a similar feeling to the other area we've already built. I'm okay with that. Ooh, the Peabody Hotel. Hold on. We need to make some changes. I think the Peabody Hotel goes over here. Right along this main road, the Peabody Hotel. It's near the City Hall. Behind it is this massive parking lot for any of the guests at the hotel. I think that works really nicely. And that's not a terrible building either. Just a little bit of height there. Put something on that main road. Now, this whole block, I do think needs to get a little bit of concrete. I don't think it makes sense for this to be anything but. Doesn't mean it can't have trees. A few, you know, here or there, like especially right here in front of the hotel, and maybe place, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4 trees there. We'll maybe place like a bigger tree over this way, maybe a bigger one over here. And then I think we do a little bit of just extra connections kind of through these areas so that everything is connected up nicely. Okay, so now we've kind of got this little expansion over here, which I think looks really nice. If we look at it this way, it's an additional high density area. And then this is about as tall as that center area is going to get. And it's going to start just becoming suburbs on either side here. Now, I do think we could fit another entrance exit over here for the cars. However, so far, this is working. It's a little strange that it's working since this is a big area, but I guess there's not a ton of people living here. So what do we got going on? We have 475 households, 3,200 workplaces, which is great. A lot of adults live in this area, and our train is not really servicing many people. I think a lot of that is people are driving in for the first time. So we still got some work to do over here, and we've got some empty plots of land we'll have to think about. I do think in between parts as well, I'm going to work on a interchange here. And actually, I'm going to make some markings so I don't forget. Boom. That's going to be an interchange. There's going to need to be an interchange here. And I think there's going to be an interchange here. So this is going to be kind of the 3 interchanges that I need to work on and kind of get this area connected up a bit. Let's come over here and let's begin to think about, let's start with Astor Park. I haven't worked on Astor Park in a minute, and I think we've unlocked a few things. So we already have the carousel. We have all of these things. Do we have this guy? Yes, the rotating teacups are right there. Do we have a ship? I don't believe so. So we're gonna place a ship right along here. Bam. Haunted house. We don't have this either. So we could place this along this route. Also unlocked the bumper cars. All of these are quite small, which is fine. It's not a big deal that they're tiny. It just... I'm ready for the larger stuff. This stuff is not big enough. I like leaving that open. So I think that this can go... This could go back here, which would also give me an excuse to extend this out a bit more, just like so, and bring this down to this point, which is fine with me. I think we grab another one of these, and we don't connect to anything. Turn off everything. We send that straight on through, and we send one straight on up. Using Move It, wiggle this guy over. That looks nice. Now we're gonna need tons and tons and tons of trees around this haunted section. So we're gonna do a bunch of those trees there. And then, of course, the tried and true chestnut. So now we have that kind of haunted mansion section, which I think is pretty good. And now I think we do have to wait for people because we've got more than enough entertainment. So once we hit 5,000, we'll unlock level 4, and that's going to keep moving us forward. Okay, great. Astor Park, you're moving on up. This area here, people have suggested becomes a Japanese garden. Love the idea, just haven't put any thought into it yet. So we're still going to keep this open. Similarly, this area here is just still unfinished. Like I never came back and did any work on this section, including checking on these buses that apparently are filling up. We've got lots of postal trucks over here, but you know, we'll come back to this section eventually. Liddit's Point is just like a really dense, I don't know if it's offices or Sunset Heights. Lots of business. Liddit's Point's got some offices. It's a very dense little downtown area there to then go right back into suburbs. It's an interesting little area that popped up. We are at a level 5, which is incredible. We didn't make any money last month, but that's okay. We're making $9,600 from our steel production, which is fantastic. Glass still empty. Metals still empty, which is good. Even these which are sent to balanced are doing a lot of work. These are sent to empty and they are staying empty, which is great. Nobody's running into any issues here. awesome. Let's go ahead and look at the final buildings we've unlocked. We have raw mineral storage. I don't know if we need this, only because we've got so much other storage throughout, and I like those other storage solutions better. We also unlocked this guy, the large ore thing, large ore mine. It's really cool, and I think we're going to use it. I think what we're going to do, a medium ore mine produces 8,000 units per week. This produces 11,000 units per week. I think we are going to remove both of those, turn off anarchy so that we can't like really get too crazy with this. You know what? That's a bit too close to comfort with the water for me. So let's place this, I think, here instead. But we're going to place 3 of these, kind of all right next to each other. These massive saws. We are going to intentionally leave this cliff. So we've got these 3 guys here, all of which are sawing into the side of the mountain. There are 3 together. It's very, very unique looking. Interesting to see that living over here to look over and be like, wow, look at all that. Also interesting that we're getting these types of buildings sprinkled throughout. I don't hate it. It's something. Was this high density? No, low density. Okay, 4 households, 3 households, 4 households. That's partially why we're having not a ton of demand for things. I do kind of like this though. This kind of like little corner bit with these taller buildings all together, all combined. It's an interesting collection of things. We'll leave it at that. All right, so we've got this area is pretty much complete. We're getting a good balance now of our Rico demands. Let's do a little bit of work here on this the zoning for this area. I think we're gonna cut all of this for sure. Okay, so there is our industrial area. That is Hickory Ore Extraction Site. Done. Complete. We did it. I think now we can start thinking about this port for real, because we have unlocked maybe one of the best assets in this whole game. Where's the shipyard? This is such an amazing asset. It's 550,000. We're going to pause, place it, and then delete it. But this is so cool. And it actually builds ships, which is great. So now we can think about, we need a cargo line over here. We need a port. We need a tourist kind of situation. What is that called? I don't remember. Planed timber. We don't have any forestry, so we're going to have to work on that. But we've got metals and glass out the wazoo. I think we need to start thinking about the plastics and the oil industry over there. And then we have to start, I guess, we have to make a forestry section somewhere because we don't have that yet. Maybe forestry can be a part of Alphabet City. Like we have a forestry section maybe back here somewhere along the mountain's edge. Or we do the forestry maybe back here with the marsh. Remember when I built this ages ago? It was off camera, but we got this gorgeous marshy area with a waterfall. Eventually we'll get over there. Okay, I think that's probably though where we're going to leave this. I'm really pumped we have this building. All right, we need to not delete buildings like that. We have this double train line here. One of them is not actually cargo. I think I need to start kind of planning out what that looks like. But I imagine the cargo line is going to kind of maybe terminate here and go over this way for now. I don't yet know how we're going to fit all this. We could also think about having another line come underneath here. That is cargo. That would come under and come over here somehow. That could be an area for the cargo line, which could then maybe curve and come up this side here. So that's an option. We are getting a little bit of traffic here at the entrance as people are working their way into the downtown. That's okay. We are going to get some more connections over here soon. And then we worked on Astor Park just a bit, but it's now in a place that it can start getting closer and closer. I think over here is going to be our roller coaster, our like drop tower. All that's going to be in this little portion. And then this portion of the park will be done. Do we need to do anything for our university? This is Broome Square. Where's my little university sign? I guess I just click on this campus area info. This is Waffle County University. We've got all the academic works we need. We don't have enough students and we don't have enough campus attractiveness. I know we just said, or I just said I was going to end this, but we might as well just like quickly look. I have to think about this because we're going to need some more things over here. We have everything right now, but the campus attractiveness has fallen. So I'll have to figure that out in a second. But I think for now, that's where we're going to leave this here. Let me know. Here's a bird's eye view. Let me know if you have any ideas about our transportation for our cargo. I don't think it's going to share this same corridor line that we have going through the downtown. I think it's going to be external to that. Coming from this area, kind of looping up and around, and then coming down and in to the port. And then I do think we might be able to share this section. There's some chance of filling in some more stuff here that will bring in a new line. And I think if it's going to end up going towards this section here where our Washoe is, it's going to probably go like underneath the mountain, come out over here, maybe loop in, and that will be that cargo line. So we've got some options. I'm also wondering if Washoe gets an expansion and is where we include the forestry industry. Lots of options here. I don't know what we're going to want to do. Traffic's at 83%. There are some areas that are red, like this area always has traffic. This area here is not actually bad. It just has lots of cars going over it. That doesn't mean that it's inherently gridlocked. Downtown looking beautiful. Even this area here with our industrial setup is looking really nice. And our new area got some traffic here on the entrance exit, but for the most part, the new area is looking pretty good. People have finally moved in. We've got 430 households filled of 477 with 2,700, almost 2,800 workers out of the 3,200 weekend support, which I'm thinking this is looking just so nice. So I'll keep working on this. I might do some more stuff in between parts and we will get some interchanges set up. But for now, that is where we're going to leave this part here, guys. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.